Hey, this is Donnie McClurkin, and your message of praise from the New Living Translation of the Bible is Isaiah 41, verse 10. It says, "Don't be afraid, for I am with you. Don't be discouraged, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you. I will hold you up with my victorious right hand." Get your message of praise at WJOU.org. I'm Donnie McClurkin, and I'm Oakwood University.
It's 8:32 in the Tennessee Valley. I'm Dawna Baker here with a breakfast chat just for you this morning on Morning Joy on this Fearless Friday. So I want to welcome our special guest this morning is none other than David McElhaney. Thank you for being with us today.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thank you for inviting us.
Yes, I'm so excited because there's an event that's coming up that is, that's why you are here. Are you from Huntsville? You're in the area?
Well, actually, I grew up in Orlando, but I've lived here for the last 16 years.
Wow,
Yep.
16 years. So you're right here in the Tennessee Valley. So that's what brings you here, though, this morning to talk to us about this event that's coming up April 13th.
That's correct.
At 10 a.m. It's called a Brunch and Learn Seminar. And why is this seminar featuring you?
So I'm the prostate health minister for Oakwood. But more importantly, I've walked this walk. I've been through prostate cancer.
Okay.
And so we are trying to educate men and families on the need for getting tested.
Wow. So this is an event that's coming up that's sponsored by Oakwood University Church and their health ministry. And so you're going to be presenting and sharing your experiences about how you have survived cancer, prostate cancer. And they're going to also be having a meal there included. And like you say, this is for the entire family.
Absolutely.
So tell us about the conditions of prostate and prostate cancer or whatever, because you say this is for the family. This is really about the family. So
really
why would I be interested in coming, though, as a female?
So it's about the family because this is not a man's disease. This is a family disease. You think about this when the father or husband has prostate cancer and dies from that disease. Think about the void that leaves in the family. Suddenly that perhaps the breadwinner is gone, but for sure the anchor of the family is gone. And it leaves such a void that we have to educate our men about, and not our men, but our family. So we want wives to come to this meeting so that they can understand. Men has a tendency, we like to be strong. And we don't like to show our weaknesses, and so we don't like to go to the doctor. You know, if I cut my arm off and I can super glue it back on, I'm not going to the doctor.
Super glue it back on, right? Or duct tape it on, right?
Right, exactly. So we have to encourage men to go get tested.
Yeah.
Prostate cancer is a simple blood test. The problem with prostate cancer is there are no real symptoms until it's too late. So that's why it's critical. I was diagnosed in 2019. There's three kinds of high-risk men. There's men who have family history, black men, and men from the military. So the first group is kind of self-explanatory. I'm a hereditary patient. My grandfather, father, and 4 uncles all had prostate cancer. Wow. So it was kind of inevitable that I was going to get cancer. But I was asleep at the switch still. Black men may not be quite as obvious, but 1 in 7 men will be diagnosed with prostate cancer in their lifetime.
1 in 7 African-American men.
1 in 6 African-American men.
1 in 6 African-American. Wow.
So black men are more likely to be diagnosed with prostate cancer, and they're twice as likely to die from it. And there are several reasons for that. One is, again, we don't get tested. 2 is the data seems to show that the cancer that black men get in prostate is more aggressive. So if you're not getting tested, it's going to be more aggressive. It's going to be perhaps beyond repair. Prostate cancer is close to 100% curable caught early.
Right.
But it's only about 30% curable caught late, because once it metastasizes, it creates whole other problems.
Now, you said that there's really no symptoms and no red flags that pop up too. So are you saying that they really the key point is you got to just get tested for
That's
it, right?
That's
and you have to ask for that when you go to your doctor?
You shouldn't have to ask that. A man that is 50 years old or older, that's the standard of care. However, these three groups need to be tested at 40. So yes, we need to be asking to be tested early in those three groups of men.
Okay. Those three groups again?
People like me, a legacy patient who has family history, black men, and people who have been in the military. So for our black brothers out there that maybe have family history and have been in the military, they got 3 strikes already.
Right.
So it's critical that we get that test. And understand it's a simple blood test. It's called a PSA. It's a prostate antigen, prostate-specific antigen, and it's a blood test. The critical piece of that is you need to get tested as early as possible, 50 for normal men, 40 for high-risk men, and establish that baseline, because what you want to do is you want to watch that baseline. That's what I wasn't doing. My baseline was slowly growing. When we typically consider normal PSA to a level of 4 on your PSA scale. When it gets above 4, then you need to have concern. Really in these high-risk groups, that really is the 3 levels where you need to start looking, because if you're growing in those areas, that can be a real good indicator. Had I been watching my PSA scores, I would have got tested a lot earlier. By the time I got it, got tested, I already had the cancer, and it was growing, and by the grace of God, we were able to catch it early enough.
Now, when you talk about treatments now, because let's say a gentleman finds out that he caught it early.
Yes.
I have heard that doctors have told them, don't worry about it because you die from something else before you die from prostate cancer. Is that a true statement? Is that something that we should really take to heart and not get treatment for it, when you catch it really early?
So kind of the thought out there in the world is a man lives long enough, he's going to either die from prostate cancer or with prostate cancer. In a lot of cases, the prostate cancer, the degree of that cancer is very low, and they do what's called active surveillance. I've got a friend who's been on active surveillance for over 10 years because his is really slow growing and it's not developing, and so it's not required at this point to have any treatment. And so he goes and continually gets tested. So there are those groups of men that they do say, you just
don't worry.
They used to call it watch and wait now. And that's kind of a scary thing to say anyway. So now they call it active surveillance. If it's high enough, and the PSA typically is related to a Gleason score. And rather than getting into technical things, the Gleason score has 2 points. Mine was a 3-4, which gave me a 7, which put me in a high-risk category. Medium-risk category. So depending on that Gleason score, whether you'll be in that active surveillance or looking for other types of treatments.
Wow. So let's talk about your experience, and I'm going to let our viewers know. We have a few on there right now. Come on and ask your questions. If you have questions for David, go ahead and post those questions on Facebook or on YouTube so we can answer those questions before we let him go today. But when folks come to the seminar on April the 13th, it starts at 10 a.m., what are the special things that they're going to, what type of information are they going to receive that they can't already receive when they go to their doctor and talk to them? What are the kind of key points that you're going to be sharing with them?
Well, the important thing is the education process. Again, because some doctors, depending on your doctor, some of them are aware of this and move patients towards that treatment or at least that testing. Others don't. So it's important that we be educated so that we know that those 3 high-risk categories that are asking to be tested at age 40, so that they can get that. So we're going to have a urologist at the seminar to give a lecture on prostate cancer.
Nice.
I'm part of an organization called Zero Prostate Cancer, and I'm a local spokesperson for them. And I also run an online support group for prostate cancer patients. And so I'm going to be giving the presentation of the overall things that they need to be watching out for, some of the medical issues concerning around those. And then we're going to have a group of patients that have been treated with prostate cancer be there for a Q&A to help educate the men and the women in the seminar to know those things. When the old adage, knowledge is power, is critical. When you go into the doctor kind of blindly, you're at their mercy, and we can't do that. Right. We have to be our own patient advocate. So we have to ask questions. When I was going through this, I started building a notebook And I went to 4 different urologists to get different opinions on this. When you go to a doctor for a free consultation, you don't get a lot of time with them. And I started building a notebook. It started with a 1-inch notebook, then it went to a 2, 3, 4.
Wow.
It ended with a 5-inch notebook. And every time I went to the doctor with more information, I got more time because they knew I was prepared. They knew what I was talking about.
Wow.
And they were there to answer my questions. Every place I went with that book, they said, "Oh, you ought to write a book." And so I did.
Wow. Yes, that's what we're getting to.
Yeah.
Because this is the book, y'all. If you're on Facebook or YouTube, you'll see me holding it up now. It's entitled "My Walk with God Through Prostate Cancer," and so this is the result of all of your notes that you took over the years. So tell us about your walk with God. What was that like as you were going through prostate cancer?
I get a chill just thinking about it because. And I get very emotional about this. God opened so many doors along the way for us, and I talk about that in the book. How we were diagnosed with prostate cancer, and my immediate doctor told me that my only option was surgery. And very often we hear that, and the initial thought of that, my wife and I both said, "Yes, let's get this cancer
Get it out." Yeah.
But that's not the only thing that you can do out there, and there are a lot of side effects with surgery, any kind of surgery. And so as I started investigating that, I started looking around for other ideas, and my wife and I prayed about this a lot. And one morning, after our morning prayer, I stayed up in our prayer room and had some extra prayers, and a chill came over me.
Yeah.
And I came down the stairs and I told my wife, I said, "We need to relax. God's got this. He's directing me a different way." One of my associates, an oncologist in California, told me, he said, "Before you make a final decision, you need to look at this process called proton radiation treatment rather than surgery." He said, first of all, understand there's no ambulance backing down your driveway. This is not an emergency.
Right.
You've got time to make a decision.
Okay.
So I told my wife about this, and we went to a local center up in Tennessee and looked at this proton radiation. And when we came out, she was like, "Okay, I see your point, that we need to look at this."
Yeah.
So we ended up going. I had an appointment already down at University of Florida in Jacksonville at their proton radiation center. We went down there, and the doctor walks in the room with my books, and he looks at it and he says, "So I see you are your birthday was 10/18/1952, and I said, "Yes." And he says, "Well, that'll be easy for me to remember. That's when I was born."
Oh, wow.
Well, my wife's been looking for a sign, and I looked over her, and she was crying.
Oh, my goodness.
So we came out there, and she said,
Look at
"We're going
God.
here."
Yes.
The next door that got opened was we had to find a place to live for 3 months. I have a friend of mine who was actually one of my previous bosses. We stayed at his beach house for the weekend while we were down there, and we were telling them what we were going to do. The next morning, they got up and handed us the keys.
What?
Said, "This is your place for 3 months for free."
Oh, my goodness.
And I mean, just all through
Look
and I
at
explained
God.
this in the book, God just opened door after door after door for us. And so I wanted to write this book to be an inspiration to people, not just men, to people. I start and end every chapter with a quote from the Bible. And I have a lot of inspirational stuff in there to help men and women understand that you can survive this.
Wow. So it's like a devotional that you can get up and read every day. Chapters are, they're about the regular length of a chapter.
Yeah, and it's a quick read. It's an easy read. So, yeah.
So the book is entitled "My Walk with God Through Prostate Cancer," and we all know you cannot go through any walk like this without God. Any walk in life in general, but God was with you every step of the way,
Absolutely.
and you saw how He was just weaving the plans through for your life. And
That's right.
And you're emotional right now, and I understand that, because when you see God working, it's just amazing what He can do.
It is, absolutely.
And your situation was pretty serious, but you still had time, like the doctor said, but you needed to make a decision about about what to do. And you took this new, what was this, a new way? What were you talking? Protons or something? What is
Proton
that?
rate. It's not new. It's been around for a long time, but it's a very expensive process. And so there are only I don't know, 15 or 20 centers around the country. It started in Loma Linda, by the way. That's where it started. And coincidentally enough, the doctor that I was talking with out there is a radiological oncologist. His father-in-law is the one that pioneered this at Loma Linda.
Oh, wow. Now, I didn't know that.
I didn't either.
Wow. So instead of surgery, can you just share with us a little bit how that works then? Because it's not surgery, right?
Right. So there are a number of different treatments that are available. And all of them are, all of the approved treatments by FDA, that we all have the same kind of results. You get the same kind of results from surgery as you do from radiation, from having seeds implanted and such. So there's a variety of different treatments that you can do. They all have side effects, and they all have different success stories. So you have to, it's an individual thing that you have to figure out what's best for you.
Right.
And that's why prayer is so important, to have God lead you through this process, because it's mind-numbing, all the stuff out there. And on the internet you can find any answer you want, positive or negative. So you have to be really careful.
Wow. So at the seminar coming up on the 13th, they'll be able to get information about different treatments and things like that as well?
That's right. And I'll have a table with some literature and information from Zero Prostate Cancer. One of the things we do, if you have a challenge with finances or don't know a doctor or need other help, we've got a part of our 0360, what we call it, organization, where we help people that need funding and need information.
So there might be somebody out there listening right now dealing with this and not knowing what to do with this situation, this diagnosis that they've just gotten. Whatever level you're on, you're listening right now. You want to be at this seminar coming up on the 13th at 10 a.m. We've been talking with none other than David McElhaney. He is a prostate cancer survivor and still clean, right?
That's right. I'm almost next month or into this month, I'll be 5 years cancer free.
5 years cancer free. Praise God. So you are also you are the leader of the health ministries department at Oakwood University Church as well.
The prostate health
Ministry at Oakwood University Church. So this again is happening on April the 13th at 10 a.m. It's called Brunch and Learn Seminar. There will be a meal served as well. It's going to be in the Oakwood University Church Family Life Center, and they want you to reserve your spot for this, and you need to do it before April 6th. So if you're listening right now, we want you to go ahead and go make that call. You can text 407-341-4462 to reserve your spot. That's one way you can do it, or you can email D.A. McElhaney, okay? D.A. McElhaney. D.A. stands for, I'm sure, your first name, David, right?
David Allen, yes.
David Allen, D.A., and then his last name, McElhaney at Comcast.net. You'll be able to email and RSVP for this seminar. Again, coming up on April the 13th at 10 a.m. at Oakwood University Church in their Family Life Center. And you've been listening to David McElhaney, who was going to be one of the featured speakers, and some other speakers are going to be there as well, right? You said a doctor, a urologist?
A urologist, yes.
And some other, anybody else?
A group of patients.
Okay, going to be sharing their testimonies.
Right.
Okay, so and this is for the family, right?
Absolutely.
Let's say that
for
again.
the family.
It's not just for the men that may be listening. It's like if you're a wife or a sister or a daughter or friend, boyfriend, your girlfriend to somebody, you need to drag them there, right?
That's right.
Whether they have been diagnosed or not.
That's correct. Absolutely. Okay. Particularly if they haven't been, we want to educate those men. And the easiest way is to just text my phone number, or if you don't have that information, call the church office and they will take your registration.
All righty. Thank you so much for being with us. David McElhaney, his book is My Walk with God Through Prostate Cancer, second edition.
Second edition.
Okay. So what was the first edition
Well,
like?
I went back and updated it. I added 5 chapters to it. I added a book on exercise, a book on diet, a book on genetics, and a book on chapter on caregivers. Mm-hmm. So I added those chapters and then updated all the links in it.
Oh, wow. So, awesome. So this is a great source for resources for you as well. So thank you so much for being with us
my
today
pleasure.
and talking about the Brunch and Learn Seminar that's coming up April 13th at Oakwood University Church. And we appreciate you coming and sharing all this information. Looking forward to it, and hopefully we'll have a packed room there.
Thank you very much. God bless.
Thank you. And God bless you too. All right, listen, it's time for us to wrap it up with the Breakfast Chef. Thank you for joining us on Facebook and on YouTube. If you do have questions, I didn't see any come up, but if you have them, you can still post them there and we'll get back to them and respond at a later date. But thank you so much for watching. All right, right now we're going to talk about our weather outside, 74. So we're starting to heat up really quickly out there. 74 degrees, 88 is our high that we're trying to reach. Your weather has been brought to you by Apple White Movers. They make it easy for you to move across the street or across the country. That's Apple White Movers, making it easy on you. Seriously.
WJOU 90.1 FM is getting ready to power up the praise with our spring support drive. And we need your help. We're looking for passionate volunteers to accept